What's going on everybody, DiGi Valentine here right about now. I said in my last top 5 video, which was my top 5 zones from Sonic 1 and 2, that I would be back to do another top 5 on my favourite zones from Sonic 3 and Knuckles. So here I am, hi, how you doing? Sonic 3 and Knuckles was gigantic. Play each title separately and they're fairly short, but play them together as intended and you've got one beast of a game. Of course, things get interesting for me now because I've got to choose 5 zones for this list, and this game is arguably one of the most beloved Sonic games in existence. And in saying that, this is the perfect time to remind you all that this list is based on my personal opinions and are not guaranteed to reflect your own, so please don't slap me, alright? I bruise easily. Natasha Bedingfield, big tune, go listen. Before I get into this list though, I want to quickly send a huge shout out to Mary for supporting me on Patreon. Thank you so much, Mary. You've backed me for such a long time and I want you to know it is hugely appreciated, thank you. And if you want to jump in and support this channel too, then please head over to my Patreon and get involved. YouTube's not directly helping me much, it's mostly the community that are making the difference right about now. So check that out if you want to help a brother out, yeah? Safe. Alright. I'm ready to disappoint some of you again. Last time I threw Labyrinth Zone in your face, let's see what crazy crap I'm gonna pull this time, yeah? Here are my top 5 zones from Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Lava Reef. This is a weird one to put on the list because I technically don't like it as a level that you play through. It's incredibly long, it has tons of fire and lava all over the place and naturally that burns your ass. It's also set inside a volcano so the foreground is kinda boring to look at, consisting of nothing but beige rocks and lead pipes. It's a little bit dull and tedious to me. There are 2 reasons why I put it on this list though. Firstly, it's the song for Act 1. It's not too high powered, I mean it's not designed to get you to gun through the level at high speeds, but what it does do, aside from kick the beat really hard, is that it sets the mood for the end of the game. You're reaching the closing chapters of the whole story. This song really emphasizes that tone with its deep drooping bassline notes and hard-hitting drums. You ain't here to play about anymore. You've been through jungles and forests, you've been through underwater caves and snow-covered hilltops, and now you are inside a volcano with the death egg sitting right above your head getting ready for takeoff, yeah? Shit is peak, and this song matches that mood perfectly. The second reason is for how the level contributes to the story. As I mentioned, you've got the death egg sitting there in the mouth of the volcano waiting to take off. The bloody thing is just staring at you with that "I know you're looking at porn right now" face. It's the most haunting, daunting face you could put inside the level that is full up with death. It's like, fuck it, you know what, just blast me now. I don't even want to save the world anymore, forget about it. But that's the best mood to set for the closing chapters of a game. You want to feel uneasy. You want to feel that there's an actual threat and seriousness to what is happening. When you're not running around inside boring tunnels and the background actually shows the rest of the volcano, that is one incredible sight to behold. Consider the whole journey and everything that's led up to this zone and then look at that background. What an adventure, and what a climax we're about to head into. Launch base. Taking us to an earlier point in the story, back when the death egg was getting repaired and prepped for its first launch off of the floating island, Robotnik had set up the base around a lake area. In terms of the 2 games as separate titles, this is where Sonic 3 ends. This was the final level for that game, before becoming a midway point if you plugged in Sonic and Knuckles to get the full story. I don't think many people appreciate Launch Base on its own merits though. Granted, Sonic 3 alone was a short game and reaching this level kinda felt a little too soon or perhaps anticlimactic, but I felt otherwise. To me, it made a nice change to reach a final stage that wasn't drenched in dark, gloomy, depressing tones. You weren't in a polluted factory or a warehouse, you were out in the open amongst bright vivid colours and a blue sky. Of course, in the intended fashion, this is not meant to be the final level at all, so that's why it doesn't carry the doom and gloom of a typical final level, but I appreciate it for what it is. In fact, if I'm being honest about the level itself, I really enjoy the way it flows. You have some really great high-speed moments along with some very memorable enemy types and platform placements. Certain objects carry you to different parts of the level, whether it's a zip wire or these spinning cup things. I actually really like those. It just felt rewarding to play through. I never really found myself getting frustrated at it. Even the brief water sections didn't piss me off either. Not only do you encounter Knuckles, who's trying to be a badass and then catches some instant karma for his bullshittery, but then the death egg actually takes off. You land on a platform and then after a little bit of faffing around with some sorry excuse for a boss, the sky goes dark on you fam, yeah? The music suddenly nosedives. Dr. Robotnik zips by in some contraption that you ain't seen before and you're like, yo, what was that? What the bloody hell was that? And then it's on. One peak boss fight on a precariously hanging platform on the undercarriage of the Death Egg, while Dr. Robotnik is now literally trying to squeeze the life out of you. I really love this boss. I love the way the mood completely changes and the music kicks up a notch. Bloody hell, even if it isn't considered the last level of the entire story, it certainly punches you in the face like one when you reach this boss. I like Launchbase. I like what it is able to achieve on its own merits, and for what it does for the overall story too. Mushroom Hill. I'll let you in on a little secret here. I actually really like Green Hill and Emerald Hill zones from the previous Sonic games. I'm just really tired of seeing them. They've been so overused that even though I've got love for them, I don't want to include them on these lists, like not even under honourable mentions or anything. I just need a break from them because I've seen them so much and I would rather dedicate these spots to zones that I feel deserve the attention more. Case in point, Mushroom Hill. Granted, it's not meant to be considered an opening zone in the grand scope of the two games, but if you play Sonic and Knuckles by itself, then this is the first zone you're going to see. I'm going to treat it as an opening first zone, and I love how this one broke the mold on what an opening zone could look like. The traditional levels from previous games established wide open spaces of fields, usually located next to the ocean or a distant mountain range. Mushroom Hill went, actually, you know what, allow that, I'm taking place inside a forest instead. Tall trees litter the background, rising high overhead to the point that most of the ceiling area is covered in branches. I love how the mushrooms almost appear like trees themselves and provide an actual purpose by being objects that you can bounce off of. Some high-speed moments are obtained by hitting the long vines and spin dashing through them like some sort of cannonball. Act 1 really set a comforting mood with its forest location, and I was already kind of feeling it to begin with. And then Act 2 came in and gave me a reason to love it. The level's colour palette has changed due to a shift in the weather and season. The grass is now covered in fallen leaves that kick up from behind Sonic as he runs past them. The orange mushrooms have now changed to blue. The sky featured in the far background has dipped in tone and almost feels a little more frostier, implying a change in temperature. These are not huge landscape altering changes like how Angel Island gets nuked at the start of Sonic 3 and becomes a raging wildfire. Mushroom Hill doesn't need to do that much to get me to appreciate a shift in tone. It's just the changing of the season, and for a Sonic level, it looks really nice. And you know, just when I thought it couldn't get any better, yeah, you know what Sonic Team went and did for me, yeah? Boom! Green version. Yes, bruv. I love the colour green. Put that shit all over my clothing. I love mushrooms. Put that shit all over my pizza. This is the real reason why Mushroom Hill takes the third spot. Catch me outside with your bullshit if you're bringing it, blood. Icecap. Of course Icecap was going to be in here. It was the first snow level of its kind in a Sonic game, and it threw you right into it with a snowboarding section. And as short as that snowboarding part was, that busted my brain wide open as a kid. That was epic. I loved that. The music doesn't mess around either. It just dives straight into it like, listen, you're on a snowboard, it's a rolling start, you're traveling very fast. Also, here, take this bad boy bassline while you're at it. What an incredible opening to a zone, my god. It is a bit of a shame then that I feel Icecap kinda lost itself for the remainder of that first act. You go from bombing it down a steep hillside on a snowboard to trekking through some long-ting underground cave. And the colours are very nice. I mean, the background looks very mesmerising as ice crystals take up most of the location, but it just suddenly feels a little too dark and dreary for such a heavy tune to still be playing in the background. You sort of expect the energy of that snowboarding section to carry through to the rest of the level, and it doesn't really do that. Act 2 attempts to make up for it as it takes us back outside. I love the background here, showing us an ice-cold river littered with sheets of ice floating by. I got a greater sense of the temperature from being outside thanks to this flow of water and the icebergs dotted throughout. You even have a couple of fast points out here as you hit some old school loop-de-loops, giving that kicking four to the floor beat some mileage. Honestly, this level could have used a lot more sections located outside, but it is what it is. Even with my personal criticisms, I still love Icecap, and it still gets my number 2 spot because the positives are just that strong and memorable for me. Hydrocity. No, wait, sorry, that feels wrong, 1 second. Hydro City, there we go, now I feel better. Look, I can't change my ways with this, okay? I grew up calling this level Hydro City because at the age of 10, I just looked at the title and saw the level as a sunken city, hence it being a Hydro City. And I wasn't the only one, there are a few of my kind out there who grew up with the same idea as me, and Hydro City was the name that stuck with them too. Even now, when I refer to the level as Hydro City, and some wise guy wants to catch me slipping by saying, it's actually pronounced Hydro City, I'm gonna say to them, suck your mum, bruv. It's funny actually, I don't even care that I'm wrong either, I just find it comfortable to say Hydro City, and I will continue doing that. Oh, you're still here? Alright, safe, respect. Now let me tell you why this zone is not just one of my favourite zones from Sonic 3 and Knuckles, but why it's one of my favourite Sonic zones of all time, bruv. This is how you take a water level in a Sonic game and make it fun. I know in my last video I didn't really have a leg to stand on with Labyrinth Zone. That level is a gigantic ball ache to play, and I do understand why it gets the hate it does. But Hydro City though? Boy, I could play this level on loop for hours. We have established that Sonic screeches to a grinding halt the very second he so much as looks at a puddle. And while still true for Hydro City, who said the whole level has to take place with Sonic being submerged? In fact, this water level does everything a water level isn't meant to do. Air bubbles? Sure, it's got them if you need them, but the zone flows in such a way that it gets you out of the water as quickly as it puts you into it. The level design is more focused on using the water to keep you on your toes for a second than it is to bring Sonic to a standstill. Underwater sections occur sparingly, not continuously. There are so many high-speed points in this level, it gives Chemical Plant a run for its money. You hit a slope, you're gunning it. Hit a water slide, you're gunning it. Hit a loop-de-loop, you're gunning it. Hit one of those cute little hands with the spinning cogs that rev you up and fire you off in whatever direction you're facing in. Oh my good lord, yes, you will be gunning it. I absolutely love those blink and you'll miss it moments when Sonic is moving so fast that he ends up running on the surface of the water. It was like the biggest middle finger to his weakness, you know? I love playing this level, it is so bloody fun. My enjoyment is then heightened by the fact that the song for Act 2 is one of my favourite songs from a Sonic game, period. Act 1 kinda lulls you into a slow-paced mood, making you think this level is going to be a long one. But you know, you're getting through it, you're thinking it ain't so bad, the bass line is nice, the drum beat slaps, the melody is pretty catchy too, yeah, this is actually going quite well. And then Act 2 starts up and the song just shifts it into 10th gear. I love this song so much. The visual design for the level is also somewhat interesting. Earlier I mentioned how I presumed it was a city underwater, though that's not entirely the case. Rather than a city underwater, it resembles the underground canals and waterways of an ancient civilization. The higher areas of the level contain thin narrow archways reminiscent of old windows in a cathedral. Some sections even contain objects resembling candles placed in small alcoves. While not technically a sunken city, it feels like it definitely belongs to part of a city that has been long forgotten. So whatever, I'm still calling it Hydro City, I don't care, and it's getting my #1 top spot too. Boom. And those were my favourite zones from Sonic 3 and Knuckles. I do have two very quick honourable mentions. One shout out goes to Flying Battery, but only because I really like the songs for both of the acts, especially Act 1, that's a wicked tune. I'm not a fan of the level itself though. I mean, I like the idea of it taking place inside a flying airship, but the level itself is one big death trap after another, and I never had any fun playing it. So for the song alone, and the location of the level and where it takes place, I'll give it an honourable mention. The second honourable mention actually goes out to Doomsday Zone. I know it's technically not a zone, rather more that it's an event of sorts, and that's the reason it doesn't make it onto the main list, but I really like Doomsday. It's definitely a tired trope now in Sonic games that the last level is this chase stage where you're Super Sonic and you gotta clear the boss before the time runs out. I know it's been done to death now, but back then, it was a fitting climatic end to such an amazing saga. I enjoyed Doomsday a lot, so it's getting my second honourable mention. And I'm gonna go in a minute, but before I do, I'd like to ask you to give this video a like if you are feeling it, and if you're new around these ends, please consider subscribing as well, I will appreciate that immensely. Once again, a massive thank you to the people funding the content on this channel. People like Mary are making a huge difference with this, and I cannot thank them enough. We still have a long way to go until the channel is stable though, so if you're interested and want to support what I'm doing, please check the link to my Patreon page in the description below. All help is greatly appreciated, trust me. And lastly, if you want to keep up to date with me outside side of this video, then follow me on Twitter and Instagram too, because I am out there as well. And yeah, man, I've been DiGi Valentine. Thanks for your time. Take care, and I'll see you all again real soon. And yo, if they don't know about me, let them know, yeah? Safe.